what kind of grass to grow in your yard. Been doing this for nearly 35 years, and I can tell you, it doesn't matter what you do to your yard. There is nothing more important than selecting the correct grass for your yard. Let me give you an example. Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Very high genetic potential there, right? Of being able to play basketball. They have a God-given gift. Me. It doesn't matter how many jump shots I have or how much I run or lift weights or anything else. I am never going to be LeBron James or Michael Jordan. I'm down here as far, actually I'm lower than that, but I keep you in the screen. But I'm here, they're here. If you do not pick the right grass for your yard, you're going to start off here, not here. You want to start off there. You want the LeBron James and Michael Jordan in your yard. I'm going to show you how to do it in this video. Okay? So what I'm going to do, let me show you something else. Make my point just a little bit more. Here. This is tall fescue. Different varieties of tall fescue. When we talk about grass, we talk about species, which is bluegrass, ryegrass, bentgrass, Bermuda, St. Augustine, zoysia, etc. Then we have varieties. Those are the different varieties of that particular species. And there is a program called the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program. This is a plat from one of their evaluation farms, growing tall fescue, different varieties side by side. Obvious of the difference in the quality of the exact same species. This is what I do. And this is how I'm going to show you how I have selected turfgrass species to grow on golf courses, both construction and overseeding them. What I've used, the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, and then I'm going to give you here at the end recommendations, specifically with bluegrass and tall fescue, and we'll steer you a little bit towards ryegrass too. I'm going to touch just a wee little bit on warm season grasses. Warm season grass guys, stick with me here because this will be good for you in some of the trouble areas of your yard because most warm season grasses do not perform well in shade. And this is what I do in my yard. See this big maple tree here behind me? I actually grow cool season grass underneath this, and the rest of my yard I grow warm season grass Bermuda. I'm in West Virginia. I grow Yukon Bermuda here, at least in my yard, because it is a variety that is tolerant to it's cold tolerant, and it does very, very well here. I selected the right grass species. Last year, I only put $150 in my yard. That's it. And then really, it's the same quality it is today, and it's really, really good quality right now. And, you know, 150 bucks, it's not like I spent a whole heck of a lot to get there. That's what I'm talking about as far as how much this can dictate, how much time, money, and effort you put in your yard, getting the right grass species and the right variety. If I didn't select the right variety of Bermuda grass to seed in my yard, it probably would have died already because I would have selected a variety that was not cold tolerant. Okay, one of the major things that's going to dictate what you put in your yard is going to be how much sun you actually get on it. I would classify shady yard as less than 3 hours of sunlight per day. A moderately shady yard is between 3 and 6 hours per day, and if you have more than 6 hours of sunlight hitting your yard, you can grow any 3 of these grasses. Okay, the least tolerant to shade is going to be bluegrass. So you're going to have probably in that 5 or more hours of sun on your yard in order to be successful with bluegrass. If you have, and you could probably do rye or fescue if it's less than 5. Tall fescue is going to be the most shade tolerant. That is actually where I'm going to be putting underneath this maple tree next month. I'm going to do a video on that. And I'm going to be putting tall fescue out. And I'm actually going to show you the varieties I'm going to put out, or the blend I'm going to put out here in a minute. Now, as far as germination rate, and this is something else to consider when you are seeding your yard, is the quickest germination, meaning when it actually comes out of the seed and starts actually growing. The quickest is ryegrass. I like ryegrass because it can germinate within 3 to 7 days if soil temperatures are up. The nice thing about that is when you're seeding, you only really have to keep it moist for about a week, and you're going to be reasonably successful seeding like that. Also, you can grow, and this is what I did with my sports fields, particularly in the fall. I would go out right before a game and I would actually hit ryegrass in the seeded areas and let the athletes track it in, and it would come right back up. By the next week, what was damaged that week has got now grass germinating the next week. And I can keep that going till about mid-November, at least in this area of the world here in northern West Virginia. I can keep that going to about mid-November when soil temperatures went down. So that's the nice thing about ryegrass. Tall fescue is really in that 10 to 14 days. You're going to have to keep it moist 10 to 14 days. Bluegrass, here's the tough thing about bluegrass, is it generally takes about anywhere from 21 to 28 days to germinate. Probably closer to that 21 depending on your soil temperatures, and that's the bugaboo about it. You've got to keep that area moist for that long, and that is very difficult if you don't have an irrigation system or you have a fairly robust way of watering what you're seeding. Okay, so that's another thing with bluegrass. Overall aesthetics, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And of course, probably your best aesthetics is going to be bluegrass. It's going to stripe up, it's going to aesthetically probably give you the best color, though that depends on the type of varieties that you put out. But generally, as far as overall striping and overall leaf texture, bluegrass is going to be your best. Ryegrass is going to stripe up really well for you. You can argue that it has as good as aesthetics as bluegrass, but I don't know. The leaf texture on bluegrass is generally, in my opinion, probably the best of the three. Tall fescue is not going to stripe up as well. It's going to give you a very good yard, though. Okay, now drought tolerance. And this is why tall fescue is going to give you a pretty good yard. The most drought tolerance is tall fescue. The least is bluegrass. Ryegrass is going to be in the middle there. And this is why, and I'm getting further down the road here. This is why I put ryegrass in my yard before I had Bermuda grass, is because it's kind of in the middle. So, if you are in the part of the country, if you are in that transition zone or down south, you really need to think twice about putting bluegrass out because it's not going to be very drought tolerant at all. Now, as far as heat tolerance, tall fescue is going to be the most heat tolerant of the group. Ryegrass is going to be in the middle. Bluegrass is going to be really in the lower part of that. So that gives you an idea of, if you're in the lower part of that transition zone, that you are going to probably have to, think twice about bluegrass. So, okay, seed tags. Every single bag of seed that is sold in the United States must have a seed tag on it, period. And I think that's pretty universal. It's not federal, it's state law, and all of them will. Anyway, you see at the top there, that'll be the name of the blend or mixture that you have. Then you will see the percent purity. That's how much of that variety is in the bag when it was tested. Get to when it was tested here in a minute. So you have that percent variety. Or purity, rather. That's how much is in there of that variety. It's not really all that relevant. What is relevant is percent germination. If you see less than 85% germination, don't buy it. It's just, that means that 15%, let's say 85, 15% of that seed is not viable. When it was tested, 15% of that seed did not germinate. That's essentially what that means. Now, in this case, it's 90%. That's actually pretty good. I've seen as high as 95, but generally 90%, 85 to 90% is actually not too bad. Now, all these are 90% purity. So when you do your seed, let's say you put this out at 10 pounds per thousand, you'll want to take that 10, divide it by, in this case, 0.9, okay? That will give you 11.11. That's how many pounds per thousand square feet that you need to put out. You want to be sure that you're putting out that much pure live seed at that rate, okay? So I guess if you want to put this out at a 5-pound rate, generally tall fescue, that's not too bad. So you will take 5, divide it by 0.9, and that will give you in the ballpark of probably 5.75. So you've got to make up for that part of that 10% that did not germinate when it was tested. Okay, so that's how you figure that out. Inert matter, that is basically shells, a little bit of maybe some chaff and some things that are left over from when they actually harvested the seed. Weed seed, this is actually a very good tag. You want that very, very low. Generally less than a 1/10 of 1/100th of 1%, or pardon me, 0.5 of that percentage. It should be 0.5 or less. Okay, if it's more, don't worry about that too much. But the lower that number is, the higher quality of seed that you have in that bag. Okay, if it's higher than 0.05, it's not that it's horrible or anything, and your seed bank, basically you got enough seed in the bank of your grass not to worry about that too much. Anyway, other crop seed. I had a professor at NC State called that other crap. And you want that to be extremely low too. And this one's 0.00. That's probably where you need to be. That's probably something nasty that's in there you really don't. And then no noxious weed found. It's actually a pretty good seed tag. Now, it did give you the date tested. This one's particularly is 9/18 of 2018. If you come across a bag of seed that is older than 18 months, that gets sketchy. If it's older than 24 months since it's been tested, pass it by. Seed has, and it depends on how it's stored too. If it's been frozen, that's an issue. This is the problem buying at a box store, is because you don't know where that has been. If you buy it from a vendor, and I'm going to give you a good vendor here in a little bit, you're generally in pretty good shape. So anyway, that's very important to know that date. So anyway, that's how you read seed tag. I want to touch base on how grass spreads, and it varies. This is a stolen, okay? This is off of Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass, St. Augustine, centipede have stolen. That's how they spread, okay? This here is the crown of the plant. See where the roots are trying. This is actually off of my driveway. But you can see where the roots are trying. This is the crown of the plant. What happens is from that crown of the plant, you have these meristematic tissues that make leaves and stems, and also a reproductive structure. This is a stolen, and they can creep on Bermuda grass very, 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 very far. Bermuda grass, St. Augustine, and centipede, and zoysia grass spread with stolons. Zoysia grass also uses another structure called a rhizome, like this. Goes from the crown of the plant into the soil a bit. This is where you get a little thatch, and then it pops up somewhere else and then makes another plant. The thing with zoysia is it grows very, 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 very slow. Bermuda grass is very, 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 very fast. Centipede's pretty reasonably slow because it doesn't take a whole lot of nitrogen per year. St. Augustine creeps pretty well, but not as well as Bermuda. Bermuda grass creeps very well. The reason why I'm mentioning all this is if you have sports fields, as far as your ability to manage these grasses, you got to know how quickly they can spread. Now, so we got rhizomes, we got stolons, and then we have what we call bunch type grasses, which basically is like this. You have that crown, the meristematic tissue there, and it kind of sticks there, and it just sort of spreads from that one spot and sort of just continues to make more and more and more from, if my wrist goes to the crown, it just keeps on continuing to make from that one spot, and it spreads out. That's basically how it is. And when you get into oftentimes when you see damaged ryegrass and fescue, that's what we're talking about here. Those are bunch type grasses. Good news is they don't get thatched very well. Bad news is they generally don't heal up very well. That's why I always seed my ryegrass sports fields, is because they don't heal up very quick. Certified seed, what does that mean? Sometimes a lot of those professionals call it blue tag seed. What certified seed is, and they are pretty sure only Oregon really does it. And the reason why Oregon does it is because primarily most of your turfgrass seed is grown in the Oregon area. That's just where it comes from. What certified seed or blue tag seed is? That means that they have met a very high standard. Their fields where they're growing, actually physically growing the seed, meet a certain standard of cleanliness as far as weed seed within that field. The seed has a very high germination rate. It is a measurement of the high quality seeds. Doesn't mean non-blue tag seed is bad. It's just this blue tag seed, certified seed, is of a higher quality. Now, a lot of blends and mixtures of multiple different types of varieties generally do not have that blue tag on. They are derived, if you will, from blue tag seed. That is what the fescue blend that I'm going to recommend to you is actually made of. I've actually talked to the company.
Okay, went over this in one of my previous videos, but this is the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program website. I'm going to click there. There's a bit of a disclaimer here, but we're going to click here, just showing you how to get to the data. Then in the upper, way up here, my computer's wanting to come down on me. Here we go. I'll click on data, which is right there. Then we're going to go over here. We're going to click on latest reports. And then you're going to see here cool season grasses. Okay. They also do warm season grasses. All right. And they evaluate all of the species of grass nationwide. They also have some, I believe they have some universities in Canada that also participate. Essentially what they do, let's go ahead and click on the tall fescue. Okay, we bring this up and we have, this is sort of what they evaluate. They have an evaluation growing side by side on the overall quality, color, leaf texture, density, spring green up, seedling vigor. We're talking about the establishment, how quickly it comes up. Living ground cover. That one's interesting because they do living ground cover in the spring, summer, and fall, which basically gives you the amount of that particular variety and how well it is performing throughout the year. Now, when they evaluate these, there's a report, they grow these over a 5-year period. They just don't grow them and then evaluate them that year. This is data that is collected on these grass varieties over a 5-year period. So it's fairly comprehensive. Anyway, drought tolerance, the different species, frost, winter kill, disease, insects, other data, data by location in the entire report. Let's click on the entire report. Okay. Here is the entire just tall fescue report. And if you scroll down, it might look a little dizzying. But if you scroll down and you look, they actually evaluate these in the southeast region, okay, transition zone, northeast region, central region. Those are the ones that typically I use. Okay. These are the ratings in the transition zone. Okay, that area that I showed you there, these are locations: Delaware, Kansas, Maryland, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Virginia. Okay, that's what those mean up here. And if you look over here to your left, we have the top two for bluegrass is Daybreak and Providence. Now, you have Captain, Expanse, Xanadu, etc. When you look at these, they typically, some of these have like K18, RS56, there's a DLF, PS, etc., so on and so forth. What those are varieties that are not, generally are not commercially available. They put those names on it as an identifying tag, if you will. They've not named them yet. What they are typically doing with those is they are including them in this evaluation to see if they want to take those to market. How well do they stack up versus the ones that are currently on the market, like Daybreak and Providence. So, and then you have, there's a reason why I'm telling you all these. Here's a Rover, okay, and let's see what else we got. We got Spider, we've got, so anyway, but that gives you the rankings. Now, so they rank them based on the quality, and 1 being poor, 9 being good. And if you go over a little bit more, you'll see the mean. This is the average of all the locations, okay? You see, the top one, 6.6, and it goes on down, all the way down, and at least this page down to about 6.2. I found that what you get is, once when it gets about 0.2 difference, it does start getting a difference in turf quality. For example, the 6.6 in the Daybreak is generally noticeably
better quality than in this case the Captain. Okay? Once we get into 2/10 difference, generally there is a difference in quality that you can actually see fairly well. So anyway, something else you can do with this data, if you look at Oklahoma and you see the overall quality of the data, you can actually see how poorly tall fescue did in Oklahoma versus North Carolina, because it's warmer, hotter there, less drought. But North Carolina, it actually performed very well. Delaware, it did it pretty well. Here we go, Kansas, a little generally hotter out there, a little drier out there, and the tall fescue did not perform very well. So that kind of can give you an idea if you want from a regional basis. Let's say you were in Oklahoma and you wanted to grow tall fescue. This is how well these varieties did in that particular area. So anyway, okay, recommendations. Found this seed company. It's called Twin City Seed Company. Actually called them, great people. They have, first of all, and you can get this on Amazon. I'm going to leave links to both Twin City Seed Company, and I'm going to leave the Amazon link, my first recommendation. Theirs is called Blue Envy. It is a bluegrass blend, 4 different bluegrasses: Star, Blue Gem, Sky, New Rush, and Midnight. Okay? Now, look at how they rank on the NTEP chart. That is a pretty doggone good blend of bluegrass. And the thing is, nice thing about a blend is you're getting a little bit of genetic diversity in it, and that's why I really like this blend. You can get it either from Twin City or you can go ahead and order it from Amazon, whichever you want to. But anyway, that is what I'd recommend for you if you want to go bluegrass. Yes. Now, Twin City Seed Company actually will do custom blends for you. This is what I'm going to put on my yard back here. And I'm also going to put it on the other yard that I got to do some overseeding where I have, where they had some summer dormancy, and I'm going to replace this with, replace really the fine fescue that died over there with this. And it is a blend of Providence, Rover, Valdez, and Daybreak. Okay? Now, you can call them. They will blend that for you. That gives you 4 different types of tall fescues. Now, if they happen to be out, any of those 4 varieties or a mixture of those 4 varieties, you want to go 2 of them to 3 of them would be great. That would be just fine. The reason why I'm putting 4 different ones in there, at least that's what I'm going to do, is more genetic diversity within that. Now, you're getting good quality tall fescue. Look at what they rank. It's pretty good. Now, there is another one. However, its customer service is a little sketchy. I tried to call them. It's called Artemis Tall Fescue Blend. It actually does a little bit better, according to the NTEP trials I saw. It does a little bit better in the northeast, or probably north central part of the country. I'm talking. Ironically, this is from Twin City. Is actually from Minnesota. So anyway, but it does a little bit better according to NTEP trials in Minnesota, and a little bit better in the transition zone. Just a little bit, not a whole lot though. But the Artemis Tall Fescue, I got it from Heritage. However, I tried to call them, and they did not nearly have the customer service that Twin City Seed does. So, and they're not available on Amazon either. So I did like the Twin City. They were available on Amazon. You can order straight from them either one. So it makes no muss. Now, ryegrass. Here's the thing about ryegrass. What happens with ryegrass, and I think I might have mentioned it gets a little sketchy with ryegrass. They have a tendency, and I had this happen when I was a golf course superintendent. 1 year I'd order ryegrass, and it would be a certain blend, and then the next year they would change the varieties on that particular blend. And this is kind of what happens to ryegrass. They sort of kind of put things in there, and it's not that it's that bad. But it just changes and switches, and it's really kind of hard to find. Bluegrass and tall fescue, you can do this. Like in Artemis or the Blue Envy, it's generally that of what they're putting out all the time. And they will put those varieties in, and if they change that variety, those varieties within that, they will change the name of it. For some reason, they don't do that with ryegrass. At least that's been my experience. So, what I'm going to do, let's go. And many of you may know Lesko. I bought products from them when I was a golf course superintendent. They're very high quality. They generally do business with commercial products, and all their products are really good. Their Double Eagle Ryegrass blend. I got it on Amazon. It's down below. You can get that. That's actually, if I recall, I believe that's what I put on my yard years ago when I had ryegrass out here on mine. But their Double Eagle is actually pretty good. Warm season grasses. I'm going to go through this real quick. As I say in all my videos, I keep my videos pretty topical. And I'm not giving warm season grass guys a whole lot of love here because it's August and you're probably not, there's not probably any seed left this time of year for warm season grasses. You don't want to be seeding it in late August and September because you're going into winter. You're going to get a lot of winter kill, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole lot of other reasons. Cool season grass guys, stick with me because I do have something at the end I want to get with you, and I'll go through these very quickly. Yes, you can seed a lot of warm season grasses. I did mine, and it works. In my opinion, and this is for both warm and cool season grass folks, sod is for real estate agents trying to sell a house. You are still going to have to water it. You are still going to have to make, you're going to have to water the dickens out of it. You might as well go ahead and seed it. Sod can be rather unforgiving. We sod, when I was building golf courses, we would sod around the tees and the heavy slopes and the bunker faces, and you have to water it just as much as you do seed. You might as well go ahead and seed it. Warm season grasses you guys can sprig and plug. I've sprigged 419 Bermuda grass on golf course fairways. It works great. Sprigging does. And a lot of the varieties that you have, the 419, Tacoma 31, those are probably the two top ones. And those you cannot seed those. So anyway, that's just Bermuda grass. So anyway, I am going to give some recommendations. The only one I'm not going to give is centipede because centipede is not evaluated in the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, and I'm not that familiar enough with centipede seed to give you a recommendation. So if you want centipede seed, go ahead and maybe try something. I'm not going to give you a recommendation about the darn good data or information. So anyway, real quick, zoysia grass. Emerald is probably your best bet. It does very well. There's not a whole lot. There's Meyer and Emerald, and according to the NTEP trials, Emerald is better. I will leave links to all these down. They are available on Amazon. As far as Bermuda grass, I have Yukon in my yard. That is a cold tolerant variety. If you are in, let me go, the transition zone, okay? Didn't go over this, probably should have earlier. You have the north, then you have the transition zone, then you have the south. Warm season grasses are going to be in the south. The transition zone, you can do either or. Don't know where your politics is with global warming, but quite frankly, it is getting warmer and warmer and warmer, and you can start growing Bermuda grass, particularly with plant breeding being what it is nowadays. You can be successful in growing Bermuda grass in the northern part of the transition zone. I am, and it is very low maintenance grass. If you've got a family and kids and busy as the dickens, and you want a low maintenance grass and grass that looks like this, that's my yard. In August, Bermuda grass might be the way to go. I've got Yukon. So if you're in the northern part of the transition zone here, Yukon would be good. Riviera. Riviera is a little harder to find. Yukon is generally pretty available. There again, the links will be down below. Now, if you're in the southern part of the transition zone or in the south, as far as Bermuda grass, there's a Bermuda grass variety called Monaco. You can put Riviera down there too. Monaco, for those of you that are familiar, it gives you pretty close to the quality of the 419, which is vegetative varieties, and the Tacoma 31s, where it is a little less, and y'all out west, particularly where it's dry, it has a little less drought tolerance than the Tacoma 31. But it is, in the NTEP trials and all the trials I've seen, is of the same quality. So, it is easier to seed it. It is cheaper to seed it because if not, you're going to be sprigging it and you're going to be paying somebody to sprig it or pay somebody to sod it, or you're going to plug it. I don't recommend plugging because it takes too doggone long to creep in. Sprigging works very well. Here's a video on sprigging. Basically what it is this is interesting for you guys, you warm, cool season grass folks. Basically what it is, you take sod, you tear it up, you throw the Bermuda grass on the ground, and you basically keep on watering it. and the crowns actually sit there and they start to root, and it actually establishes that way. It's kind of neat. The first time I saw it when I was on golf course construction project, I thought they were off their freaking rocker, but it actually works. So anyway, that's how you do establishment on a lot of warm season grasses. St. Augustine, there is a Raleigh. Okay, this looks is actually, I think it was actually created, for lack of a better word, or bred at NC State. It is a very good variety of St. Augustine grass, and I think it is available on Amazon. There again, this time of year, I don't recommend August, September to be seeding or doing anything with warm season grasses. So, but I just wanted to get that in. So, there again, I'm not big on sod as far as establishing. I think you're paying somebody to do something, and when you have sod and it goes awry, you forget to water, your water shuts off, a sprinkler goes out, etc. You have basically a big old clump of dead organic matter that is going to be very difficult to get grass to grow into, and it's going to be bumpy. And if it's not laid properly, you're going to have seams, and it's pot luck. I always recommend seeding anything. As far as sprigging, does work actually very well. Essentially, sprigs look like this, and this is the old stolen, and basically that's how it comes out. And usually it comes out brown. It's not dormant. It's just, and it sometimes the sod, they do a sod. It's actually a newer technology. The one we did, we actually physically put this on the ground, and that's all we put on the ground was the bat. Actually established. It's amazing on warm season grasses you can do that. So anyway, that pretty much takes you through the gamut of making sure that you get the best varieties in your yard. And I tried to make this video less than a half an hour. I hope I've done that. This is the most important thing you can do. It's ironic, I've done this for a year, and some of the videos that I do that get the most views are the things that you need to be doing the least to your yard. It really is. It's amazing to me. Thatch and all these other things that really you don't need to be doing, seems like it gets more views, and stuff like this that's really actually important is less. And it tells me that people, it's one of the things in my channel. I'm trying to get you guys in here to educate you and save you money. There's a lot of stupid stuff out there. I mean, dumb, that people do to their yards, and a lot of products out there that is just, unnecessary. I mean, just incredibly unnecessary, and a lot of it just, I don't know. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. So anyway, I keep my videos very topical. I'm a North Carolina State University graduate, have a degree in agronomy from NC State with a double concentration in turfgrass management and soil science. I've been doing this for almost 35 years in golf courses, sports fields, and the whole 9 yards. So anyway, try to keep things very topical and relevant. So anyway, we're a little more in a year doing this. I have over 2,500 subscribers. Please like and subscribe. It brings me up in the search, in the recommendations for YouTube, and it may help somebody else. And if you subscribe, like I said, I keep things very topical. So you will get if you hit the bell, you'll get an alert on my videos. And what that will do is a little bit of a heads up of something you need to be doing, like seeding, particularly you cool season growth folks right now. And you'll get a heads up on what that is. So anyway, and I help you a great deal and help you prevent getting something that maybe you are going to get, or give you a heads up that, hey, here's some recommendations, here's some ways to steer you in the right direction. So anyway, I'm agronomist Greg Phillips. Thanks for watching.